My chosen one, something has already shifted and you felt it before you understood it. July 27th was not just another day in your life. It was a divine interruption, an unseen moment where heaven leaned closer, where Archangel Michael stepped forward, and where something in your spirit activated without warning. You may have thought it was just another difficult day, another trial, another silent battle you had to endure, but what you didn't see is that your response in that moment changed everything. It was a sound you released, not with your lips alone, but from deep within your soul. It was not loud in the physical world, but in the spiritual realm. It echoed like thunder. While others expected you to break, to complain, or to fall into despair, you did something rare. You chose gratitude. In the middle of confusion, you whispered thanks. In the middle of pain, you lifted praise. And that single act, so simple, yet so powerful, became a frequency that the heavens could not ignore. Listen carefully, because this is not something that happens to everyone. Archangel Michael is revealing that your gratitude in the middle of the trial sent out a signal, a divine frequency that disrupted the plans of the enemy. What was meant to trap you could not hold you. What was sent to drain you could not stay. Because gratitude is not weakness, it is warfare. And on that day, without even realizing it, you stepped onto a battlefield and released a weapon the enemy did not expect. You thought your situation was unchained. You thought nothing was moving. But in the unseen realm, forces began to scatter. Darkness that had been assigned to linger around you started to lose its grip. Why? Because your praise created an atmosphere where it could not survive. The enemy had prepared for your silence, but they were not prepared for your song. They expected bitterness, but they encountered light. And when that light appeared, they had no choice but to retreat. Archangel Michael stands as a witness to this moment. He says that what you did was not ordinary, it was strategic. It was heaven-led. And now, because of that one decision to remain grateful, something has opened above you. Not partially, not solely, but suddenly. The heavens have responded. There is movement now where there was delay. The earth release now where there was resistance. But here is what will surprise you even more. This is only the beginning. What shifted on July 27th has set into motion a chain of events that cannot be reversed. Your gratitude has already been recorded in heaven as a victory. And victories like this do not go unnoticed. They multiply, they echo, and they return with reward. Stay with this message, because what you are about to understand next will reveal why your praise became the turning point the enemy could not recover from. There is something you must understand now, something deeper than what you have been taught before. Gratitude is not just a feeling. It is not just good manners. It is not just a polite response to blessings. Gratitude is a force. It is a frequency that moves between realms, a spiritual current that carries authority, power, and alignment with heaven itself. And most people go their entire lives without ever realizing what they are holding in their hands. When Archangel Michael speaks of the frequency of gratitude, he is revealing a hidden law of the Spirit. Everything in existence responds to frequency. Fear has a frequency. Doubt has a frequency. Anger has a frequency. But gratitude carries one of the highest frequencies you can release. It is the sound of trust. It is the evidence of faith. It is the declaration that even when you do not see the outcome, you believe in the one who holds it. This is why your gratitude in the middle of the trial was so powerful. It did not match your circumstances. It rose above them. While everything around you tried to pull you into a lower place, into worry, into frustration, into defeat, you chose something higher. You chose to align with heaven instead of reacting to the earth. And in that moment, something extraordinary happened. Your spirit stepped into agreement with divine authority. The enemy operates in lower frequencies. Confusion, fear, heaviness. These are the environments where darkness thrives. It needs you to stay there. It needs your agreement. But gratitude breaks that agreement. It shifts the atmosphere instantly. It lifts you out of the place where the enemy has influence and places you into a space where heaven has full access. That is why the enemy cannot remain where true gratitude is present. It becomes uncomfortable, unstable, and eventually, it is forced to retreat. Think about this carefully. Every time you said thank you in the middle of your struggle, you were not just speaking words. You were sending out a signal that said, I trust God more than I trust what I see. And that signal carries authority. It tells heaven, I am aligned. It tells the enemy, you have already lost. Even when you did not feel strong, even when your voice felt small, the frequency you released was powerful enough to shift entire spiritual environments. Archangel Michael reveals that many battles are not won by force, but by alignment. And gratitude is one of the fastest ways to align yourself with divine power. It is like opening a door that was previously closed. It invites light into dark places. It invites peace into chaos. It invites movement into stagnation. And once that door is opened, things begin to change. Sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always surely. You may have thought your gratitude was insignificant. You may have felt like it did not matter. But heaven measures things differently. Heaven does not measure by volume or by appearance. It measures by sincerity, by faith, by alignment. And what you released was pure. It was real. It was enough. Now understand this. The frequency you activated has not stopped. It is still moving. It is still working. It is still creating shifts that you have yet to see with your physical eyes. What began as a quiet act of gratitude is now becoming a force that is opening doors, rearranging outcomes, and preparing something greater than you expected. And as this continues to unfold, you are about to discover why the enemy could not withstand what you released and why your praise became the very thing that forced them to retreat. Listen closely, because this is where the truth becomes undeniable. The reason the enemy could not withstand your praise is not because the battle was small, it is because your response was greater than the attack itself. What came against you was designed with precision. It was not random. It was not accidental. It was carefully assigned to wear you down, to exhaust your spirit, and to pull you into a place where you would surrender your faith without even realizing it. The enemy studies patterns. It watches reactions. It expects certain outcome. When pressure is applied, it expects frustration. When delay comes, it expects doubt. When pain rises, it expects complaints. These are the responses it knows how to work with. These are the openings it uses to stay close, to build strongholds, and to slowly gain influence. Of this town, something went wrong for them. You broke the pattern. Instead of reacting the way they predicted, you did something they could not calculate. You chose to give thanks. You chose to lift your voice, not in defeat, but in praise. And in that exact moment, the entire strategy that had been built against you began to collapse. Because the enemy cannot operate in an environment where gratitude is genuine and faith is active. Archangel Michael reveals that your praise created a disruption so strong that it echoed through the spiritual realm. It was like a sudden burst of light in a place where darkness thought it had control. And when that light appeared, everything assigned against you became exposed. The lies could not hold. The pressure could not stay. The weight that was meant to crush you started to lose its power. You must understand this clearly. The enemy is not afraid of noise, it is afraid of authority. And your gratitude carried authority. It was not empty words. It was backed by trust, by surrender, and by alignment with heaven. That is why it struck with such force. That is why it caused immediate retreat. Because when you praised, you were not just expressing emotion. You were declaring victory before the outcome was visible. There were forces that had positioned themselves around your situation, waiting for you to give in. But the moment your praise rose, those forces lost their footing. They could not stand where they once stood. They could not remain where they once operated. Because your gratitude invited a higher presence, a presence that darkness cannot challenge and cannot resist. Archangel Michael stood in that moment as a defender, as a witness, and as a warrior. He moved where your praise made room. He acted where your faith created access. And what he carried into that situation was not negotiation, it was authority. The enemy did not leave because it wanted to. It left because it had no choice. This is why things may have started to feel different, even if you could not explain it. The heaviness began to lift. The confusion began to clear. The pressure began to weaken. These were not coincidences. These were signs that something had already shifted in your favor. Signs that the battle had turned. Signs that your praise had done exactly what it was meant to do. And here is the truth that will stay with you from this moment forward. Once the enemy is forced to retreat like this, it cannot return in the same way. The access it once had is broken. The hold it once tried to establish is gone. Because your response changed the outcome permanently. So do not underestimate what you did. Do not overlook the power of that moment. Because heaven did not overlook it. Heaven recorded it as a victory. And victories like this do not remain silent. They release blessings. They open doors. And they prepare the ground for something greater that is already on its way to you. Type "I stand in gratitude" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8891 is now activated over your life. What just happened in your life is not only a personal breakthrough, it is part of a greater mission. There are souls still trapped in silence, still overwhelmed by battles they do not understand, still waiting for a light like the one you just experienced. And right now, you are part of helping that light reach them. As this message touches your spirit, feel this truth. When you give, you are not supporting a channel. You are opening doors for someone else's miracle. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is not just a verse, this is God speaking directly into your moment. And now, let this be your declaration. I am ready to sow into what God is doing. There is a divine urgency in this moment. The links are already placed before you in the description and through the QR code on your screen. Do not delay what heaven is prompting. As you release your seed through Super Thanks or PayPal, may it return to you as overflowing favor, unexpected breakthroughs, and divine covering. Step into this moment. Act now. There was a moment, quiet, almost invisible to the world around you, when everything changed. It did not come with noise. It did not come with signs that others could see. But in the realm that truly matters, it was unmistakable. Heaven took notice of you. You may not remember the exact second. It may have been in the middle of a long day, or during a silent night, when no one else understood what you were carrying. But in that moment, something within you chose faith over fear. Something within you refused to collapse under the weight. And instead of giving in, you lifted your heart in gratitude. That was the moment heaven paused. Archangel Michael reveals that when true gratitude rises from a place of testing, it sends out a signal that is impossible to ignore. It is not like ordinary words. It carries depth. It carries sincerity. It carries a purity that cuts through every layer of doubt and distraction. And when that signal reached heaven, it was received immediately. Angels do not respond to noise, they respond to alignment. And in that moment, you were fully aligned. Not because everything in your life was perfect, but because your spirit chose to trust even when nothing made sense. That alignment created access. It opened a channel between you and the divine that had been waiting for activation. Imagine this while you were standing in your situation, feeling like nothing was changing. There was movement above you. Instructions were being released. Assignments were being shifted. Archangel Michael himself stepped into action, not randomly, but because your faith gave him permission to move on your behalf. This is not symbolic. This is real. Heaven does not overlook moments like this. It does not dismiss quiet acts of faith. In fact, it treasures them, because it is easy to believe when everything is going well. It is easy to give thanks when the outcome is visible. But when you choose gratitude in the middle of uncertainty, that is when it becomes powerful. That is when it becomes rare. That is when it becomes something heaven responds to immediately. You may have felt alone in that moment. You may have thought no one saw your effort, your patience, your quiet strength. But you were seen. Not only seen, you were recognized. Your name was spoken. Your situation was acknowledged. And your response was recorded as a turning point. Archangel Michael says that this was not just a passing moment. It was a defining one. It marked a shift in your journey. It created a before and an after. Before that moment, things were being resisted, delayed, and challenged in ways you could not fully understand. But after that moment, something opened. Something began to flow. This is why you may start noticing subtle changes. Not everything all at once, but enough to feel that something is different. Doors that felt stuck may begin to move. Clarity may begin to replace confusion. Strength may rise where there was once exhaustion. These are not coincidences. These are the results of that moment when heaven took notice of you. And here is something even deeper when heaven takes notice like this. It does not simply observe. It responds with intention. There are things now being arranged that you have not yet seen. There are outcomes being prepared that go beyond what you expected. Because your faith did not just touch heaven, it activated it. You are no longer standing in the same position you were before. Even if everything around you looks similar, your spiritual position has changed. You are now under an open response. You are now within a flow that has already been set in motion. Hold on to this truth, because what comes next will reveal why the trial you faced was never meant to destroy you but to prepare you for something far greater than you imagined. What you went through was not small. It was not light. And it was not something that can be dismissed with simple words. The trial you faced carried weight, real weight. It pressed on your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, and at times, even your hope. There were moments when you questioned how much longer you could hold on. Moments when silence felt louder than answers. Moments when it seemed like everything was working against you at once. But here is the truth that is now being revealed to you. The trial was never meant to build you. It was designed to break you. The pressure you felt was intentional. The delays were calculated. The confusion, the heaviness, the resistance, it all had a purpose from the enemy's side. It was meant to weaken your faith slowly, not all at once, but little by little. The goal was not just to make you fall, it was to make you give up before your breakthrough arrived. Because if you had stopped, if you had surrendered your trust, then everything that was prepared for you would have remained just out of reach. But something happened that changed the entire outcome. You endured. Not perfectly. Not without questions. Not without moments of weakness. But you did not let go. Even when you did not understand, you stayed. Even when you felt drained, you kept going. And most importantly, even when it would have been easier to complain, you chose gratitude. That decision, small as it may have seemed, disrupted everything the trial was designed to accomplish. Archangel Michael reveals that trials like the one you faced often carry a hidden truth. They expose what is inside you. Not to shame you, but to reveal your strength. To show you that there is something within you that cannot be easily shaken. Something that does not collapse under pressure. Something that, even in the darkest moments, still reaches for light. What was meant to break you instead revealed you. You discovered a level of patience you did not know you had. You found a quiet strength that did not need recognition. You held on to faith even when you had no evidence in front of you. And in doing so, you proved something not only to yourself, but to the spiritual realm around you. You are not easily defeated. This is why the trial did not succeed. It was intense, yes. It was real, yes. But it failed in its ultimate purpose. Because instead of weakening you, it refined you. Instead of closing you off, it opened something deeper within you. Instead of pushing you away from trust, it brought you closer to it. Think about that carefully. The very thing that was sent to destroy your faith ended up strengthening it. And that changes everything. Because now, you are no longer standing in the same place you were before the trial began. You are not the same person who entered that season. You carry more awareness, more depth, more resilience, and most importantly, you carry a testimony that cannot be taken from you. Archangel Michael says that trials like this do not happen without purpose, even when they are sent with harmful intent. Because what the enemy means for harm, heaven can transform into preparation. Preparation for a higher level. Preparation for greater responsibility. Preparation for blessings that require a stronger foundation. You may not have seen it while you were in it, but now it is becoming clear you were being shaped. You were being stretched beyond your comfort. You were being positioned for something that required more of you than before. And without that trial, you would not have been ready. This is why you must not look back at that season with only pain. Yes, it was difficult. Yes, it challenged you deeply. But it also did something powerful. It revealed who you truly are when everything is tested. And now, as you stand on the other side of that experience, something new is beginning to form. Something that could not have existed without everything you just walked through. Because what comes after refinement is not loss, it is transformation. And what is about to unfold next will show you how every word of praise you released during that trial became something far greater than you ever imagined. There is something you must now see clearly, something that will change the way you understand every moment of praise you have ever given. What you released during your trial was not just sound. It was not just words. It was not even just faith. It was a weapon of light. You may not have seen it at the time. You may have felt weak, uncertain, or even emotionally drained. But what came out of you carried power far beyond what you felt in that moment. Because when gratitude rises in the middle of struggle, it does not remain in the natural realm. It transforms into something spiritual, something active, something that begins to move and work on your behalf. Archangel Michael reveals that every word of praise you released became light. Not symbolic light, but real spiritual light, radiant, forceful, and impossible for darkness to stand against. It did not matter if your voice was quiet. It did not matter if your strength felt low. The moment you chose gratitude, that light was released, and it began to spread. Imagine standing in a dark room where everything feels heavy and unclear. That is what the enemy tries to create around you, a space where confusion grows and hope feels distant. But the moment even a small light appears, the darkness has no choice but to retreat. It cannot argue. It cannot resist. It cannot stay. That is exactly what your praise did. Each time you said thank you, you lit another flame. Each time you chose trust, you expanded that light. Each time you refused to give in to negativity, you pushed the darkness further away. What seemed like small, simple acts were actually building something powerful, a field of light around you that the enemy could not penetrate. And as that light grew stronger, everything assigned against you began to lose its ability to function. This is why things began to shift, even if you did not fully notice it at first. The heaviness that once surrounded you started to break apart. The thoughts that once tried to overwhelm you began to lose their strength. The pressure that once felt constant started to weaken. This was not random. This was the result of the light you were releasing. Archangel Michael moved within that light. He did not move through fear. He did not move through doubt. He moved through the space your praise created. Because light gives access. Light creates pathways. Light allows divine intervention to step in without resistance. And that is exactly what happened in your situation. The enemy cannot fight light directly. It can only try to keep you from producing it. That is why it works so hard to keep you in discouragement, in frustration, in silence. Because as long as you remain there, the environment stays favorable for it. But the moment you shift into gratitude, everything changes. You change the environment. You transform the atmosphere. You turned a place of struggle into a place of authority. And once that happened, the enemy no longer had control. This is something you must carry with you moving forward. Because what you did once, you can do again. This is not a one-time moment. This is a key that has now been placed in your hands. A key that unlocks peace in chaos. A key that releases strength in weakness. A key that calls down light in the middle of darkness. You are no longer unaware. You now understand that your praise is not passive. It is active. It is not weak. It is powerful. It is not ignored. It is answered. And every time you use it, something shifts, something moves, something responds. There is a reason this revelation is coming to you now. Because what lies ahead will require the same understanding. It will require you to stand in that same frequency, to hold on to that same light, and to continue releasing what you now know carries power. And as you continue, you are about to realize something even more surprising. A turning point has already taken place, and you did not even see when it happened. There is something profound you must now understand. The turning point you have been waiting for did not arrive in the way you expected. It did not come with an announcement. It did not come with immediate visible results. In fact, it happened so quietly that you almost missed it. But make no mistake, it happened. The shift has already taken place. While you were still looking at your situation, wondering when things would change, something behind the scenes was already moving. The atmosphere around you had already begun to transform. The resistance that once stood firm had already started to weaken. And the moment your gratitude reached its fullness, the balance shifted in your favor. Archangel Michael reveals that turning points in the spiritual realm rarely look dramatic at first. They begin in silence. They begin in unseen places. They begin where physical eyes cannot detect them. But once they happen, everything that follows is influenced by that shift. Think about a door that has been locked for a long time. You can push against it, knock on it, Wait in front of it, but nothing changes until the lock itself is released. And when it finally unlocks, the door may still appear closed for a moment, but now it can open. That is where you are right now. The lock has already been released. You may still be standing in front of what looks like the same situation. The circumstances may not yet reflect the change you are expecting, but something has already been altered at the core. The resistance is no longer the same. The opposition is no longer as strong. The delay no longer has the same authority over your life. This is why you may feel something different, even if you cannot explain it. There is a subtle shift in your spirit, a quiet sense that something is no longer as heavy as it used to be, a feeling that things are beginning to move, even if you cannot yet see the full picture. That is not your imagination, that is confirmation. The turning point has already happened. Archangel Michael says that many people miss this moment because they are looking for immediate physical evidence. They expect everything to change instantly. But the truth is, the spiritual shift always comes first. It sets the stage. It prepares the way. And then, in the right time, the physical reality begins to align with what has already been established. This is why patience is still required, but not the same kind of patience you had before. Before, you were waiting in uncertainty. Now, you are standing in assurance. Before, you were hoping for a change. Now, you are positioned within it. The difference is powerful, even if it is not yet visible. What once had authority over you has already been broken. What once delayed you has already been weakened. What once stood against you has already begun to fall. And now, you are in a space where things are no longer being resisted in the same way. You are in a flow that has already been opened, a path that has already been cleared, a direction that has already been set. This is why you must not go back into doubt. This is why you must not return to fear, because those belong to a place you have already moved beyond. The turning point has separated you from that old position. You are no longer standing where you once stood. Archangel Michael is reminding you that this is the moment to stay aligned, to remain in gratitude, to continue in trust, because what has started now will continue to unfold. And the more you stay in that same frequency, the more you will see the results manifest around you. The shift is not coming. It has already come. And very soon, what has already been decided in the spiritual realm will begin to show itself in ways that cannot be ignored. Because the next phase is not about waiting anymore, it is about witnessing what has already been set into motion above you. There is a moment that follows every true spiritual shift, a moment when what has been decided above begins to release into your life below. That moment is not distant anymore. It is here. And what Archangel Michael is revealing to you now is something that should fill your spirit with both awe and expectation. The heavens over you are no longer closed. They are opening. Not slightly, not partially, but wide. For a long time, it may have felt like your prayers were delayed, like your efforts were unseen, like your progress was blocked by something you could not identify. You may have questioned why things were not moving, why answers were not coming, why doors remained shut no matter how hard you tried. But what you did not see was that there was a timing to everything, a moment when the resistance would break and the flow would begin. That moment has arrived. Archangel Michael says that your gratitude was the key that unlocked what was above you. Not force, not struggle, not endless striving, but alignment. The moment your heart aligned with trust and your words aligned with praise, something responded instantly. The heavens that once felt silent are now active. The space above you is now open. And when the heavens open, things begin to pour. This is not limited to one area of your life. This is not a small release. This is a shift that affects everything connected to you. Clarity begins to come where there was confusion. Opportunities begin to appear where there was stagnation. Peace begins to settle where there was tension. And provision, both seen and unseen, begins to flow in ways that you did not expect. But here is what you must understand: an open heaven is not just about receiving. It is about positioning. You are now standing under something different. You are no longer in a closed environment where things struggle to move. You are in an open space where things can align more easily, where answers can reach you faster, where direction becomes clearer. This is a place of access, and many people spend years trying to reach this place without realizing that it is not earned through effort. It is entered through alignment. You have already done what was required. You have already released what needed to be released. And now, you are standing in the result of that. This is why things may begin to happen in ways that feel unexpected. Doors may open that you were not even knocking on. Solutions may come from places you did not consider. People may enter your life at the right time, carrying exactly what you need. This is not coincidence. This is what happens when the heavens open. Archangel Michael is also revealing that protection increases in this space. Because where heaven opens, divine covering strengthens. Things that once had access to disturb you will no longer reach you in the same way. Disruptions that once slowed you down will begin to lose their effect. Because you are now under a different kind of oversight, one that carries authority and intention. Do not be surprised if you begin to feel a new sense of peace, a calm that does not depend on circumstances, a confidence that does not come from visible results. This is part of the opening. It is a sign that you are no longer fighting in the same way you were before. You are now receiving. And as this continues, there is something important you must hold on to. Do not close what has been opened. Stay in the same posture that brought you here. Stay in gratitude. Stay in trust. Stay in alignment. Because the same frequency that opened the heavens is the same frequency that keeps them open. Type "heavens are open over me" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5427 is now released upon your life. And as you stand under this open heaven, understand this: what is flowing into your life right now is not meant for you alone. There are others still standing under closed skies, still waiting for a breakthrough, still searching for light in their darkness. And in this moment, you are part of helping that light reach them. As this message has opened something within you, let it also move through you. Hear this as a living word. As long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest shall not cease. This is God speaking directly into your now. And let this rise within you. I choose to sow into what God is doing. This is not just an action. It is alignment with a greater flow. The opportunity is already before you through the super thanks, through the PayPal link placed in the description, and even through the QR code visible to you. Do not hesitate. Step into this moment with obedience. As you release your seed, may the open heavens over you respond with multiplied favor, divine acceleration, and unexplainable blessings. Move now. There are battles you have seen, and then there are battles you have never been aware of. What you experienced was only a small portion of what was actually taking place. Because while you were facing visible challenges, there were invisible conflicts unfolding around you, conflicts that required intervention beyond human strength. This is where Archangel Michael stepped in. He is not just a symbol. He is not just a distant figure. He is a warrior assigned with purpose, with authority, and with precision. And right now, he is actively working on your behalf in ways that you cannot fully see, but you can begin to understand. There are forces that tried to remain connected to your life even after the shift took place. Residual resistance, lingering opposition, attempts to regain access. But Archangel Michael has not allowed them to succeed, because once the turning point was established and the heavens opened, a new level of protection was activated around you. He is standing in that space, not passively but actively. Archangel Michael is confronting what you cannot confront. He is blocking what you cannot see. He is intercepting what was sent against you before it ever reaches your path. This is not random protection. This is intentional defense. You may not hear the conflict. You may not witness the confrontation, but it is happening. Every attempt to reintroduce confusion is being challenged. Every effort to bring back heaviness is being resisted. Every plan that was meant to delay your progress is being dismantled. And this is why you are experiencing a new kind of clarity. Not perfect clarity, but enough to move forward. Not complete understanding, but enough to feel direction. Because what once clouded your path is no longer operating in the same way. Archangel Michael is clearing that space. He is ensuring that what has been opened over you is not easily disrupted again. There is also something else he is doing, something even more strategic. He is not just defending you, he is positioning you. Because protection alone is not the final goal. Movement is. Progress is. Alignment is. And as he stands guard over your life, he is also ensuring that you are being guided into the right places, at the right time, with the right connections. There are things being redirected even now. Situations that could have gone one way are being shifted into another. Paths that may have led to delay are being closed, while new ones are quietly opening. You may not always understand why certain things are not working out the way you expected. But what you must trust is this: if something is being blocked, it is because something better is being protected. Archangel Michael does not only fight against what is harmful, he also preserves what is valuable. And right now, he is preserving your peace. He is preserving your progress. He is preserving the very breakthrough that has already begun to unfold. This is why you must not interpret every delay as a problem. Some delays are protection in disguise. Some closed doors are acts of defense. Some interruptions are redirections that keep you aligned with what has already been prepared for you. And as he continues to fight on your behalf, there is a growing stability forming around your life. A sense that things are no longer as fragile as they once felt. A realization that you are not as exposed as you once believed. Because you are not standing alone. Archangel Michael is present. And where he stands, there is order. Where he moves, there is authority. Where he fights, there is victory. This is not something you have to earn or force. It is something that has already been assigned to you through the alignment you stepped into. Through the gratitude you released. Through the faith you held onto when it would have been easier to let go. And now, as this protection continues to strengthen, you are being carried into something greater, something that goes beyond defense and into overflow. Because what follows protection is not just safety, it is abundance. And what is about to unfold next will show you how everything you have endured is about to return to you in ways you did not expect. There is a pattern that heaven follows, a pattern that cannot be broken, delayed, or denied. And once you understand it, everything you have experienced will begin to make sense. That pattern is this: where true gratitude is released, overflow always follows. Not sometimes, not occasionally, always. What you stepped into was not just a moment of faith. It was the beginning of a cycle. A divine exchange that started the moment you chose to give thanks in the middle of your trial. Because gratitude is never the end of the story. It is the trigger that begins something greater. Archangel Michael reveals that what you released upward is now returning downward. And it is not returning in the same form. It is returning multiplied. This is what overflow means. It is not just receiving what you asked for. It is receiving beyond what you expected. It is experiencing increase in areas you did not even pray about. It is seeing doors open that you did not even know existed. Because when gratitude reaches heaven, heaven does not respond with limitation. It responds with abundance. You may have asked for peace, but what is coming is deeper than peace. You may have hoped for clarity, but what is coming is direction with purpose. You may have desired relief, but what is coming is restoration with increase. This is how overflow works. It does not meet your expectation. It exceeds it. And the reason this is happening now is because of the position you have entered. You are no longer in a place of resistance. You are no longer under closed conditions. You are standing under an open heaven, aligned with a frequency that invites continuous flow. That flow is already beginning. You may notice small signs at first, unexpected moments of ease, sudden clarity in situations that once confused you, opportunities appearing without struggle. These are not random. They are the early signs of overflow beginning to manifest. Do not overlook them. Because what starts small often grows quickly when it is backed by divine movement. Archangel Michael is also revealing that this overflow will not be limited to one area of your life. It will move across different parts of your journey. Emotional healing, spiritual growth, restored connections, new opportunities, everything connected to you is being touched by this shift. Because overflow does not isolate, it expands. But here is something important you must hold on to. Overflow requires capacity. And this is why you went through the trial. Because without that season, you would not have been ready to receive what is now coming. You would not have had the strength to hold it. You would not have had the understanding to manage it. You would not have had the awareness to recognize it. The trial prepared you, stretched you, and deepened you. And now, you have the capacity to receive without being overwhelmed. This is why nothing you went through was wasted. Every moment of waiting built endurance. Every moment of confusion built trust. Every moment of pressure built strength. And now, all of that is creating space within you for what is about to be released. Archangel Michael says that some blessings cannot be given until the person is ready to carry them. And now you are ready. This is why you must not shrink back. Do not doubt what is coming. Do not question whether you deserve it. Do not limit what heaven has already decided to release over your life. Because this is not based on your perfection. It is based on your alignment. And your alignment has already been established. So now, the flow continues. The doors continue to open. The path continues to clear. And the blessings continue to move toward you with intention and purpose. You are no longer standing in a place of lack. You are stepping into a season of overflow. And what comes next will reveal something even deeper: why this message reached you at this exact moment, and why everything you are hearing right now is not coincidence, but confirmation. There is a reason you are hearing this at this exact moment. Not earlier. Not later. Out of all the messages you could have come across, out of all the voices speaking, out of all the distractions that could have pulled your attention elsewhere, you are here. And that is not random. It is not coincidence. It is alignment. Because timing is everything in the spiritual realm. Archangel Michael reveals that messages like this are not just spoken, they are delivered. And they are delivered with precision. They reach the right person at the exact moment when that person is ready to receive, ready to understand, and ready to step into what has already been prepared. That person is you. You may have felt uncertain before this. You may have questioned whether things were truly changing. You may have wondered if your efforts, your patience, your gratitude, if any of it actually mattered. But this message is your confirmation that it did. Everything you released was received. Everything you endured was seen. Everything you trusted through was honored. And now, this message has found you to remind you of what has already been set in motion. Because there are moments when the shift happens, and then there are moments when you become aware of it. This is that moment of awareness. The moment where understanding catches up with what has already taken place in the unseen. This is why something within you feels different as you hear these words. There is a recognition happening, a quiet knowing, a sense that what is being spoken is not new information. It is confirmation of something you have already felt but could not explain. That is how divine timing works. It does not confuse, it confirms. It does not overwhelm, it aligns. It does not force, it reveals. Archangel Michael says that you are no longer in a place of questioning. You are in a place of realization. Realization that the struggle had a purpose. Realization that your response carried power. Realization that something has already changed in your favor. And now that you are aware, everything begins to take on new meaning. The delays you experience no longer feel like setbacks. They feel like preparation. The challenges you face no longer feel like punishment. They feel like refinement. The silence you endured no longer feels like absence. It feels like positioning. Because now you can see what was hidden before. And this awareness is important because it changes how you move forward. You are no longer walking blindly. You are no longer reacting to uncertainty. You are now moving with understanding, with clarity, and with confidence in what has already been established. This is why the message found you now. Because you are ready to carry it. You are ready to believe it. You are ready to step into what it is revealing. And as you move forward from this moment, there is something you must hold on to. Do not dismiss this as just words. Do not reduce this to something temporary. Because what has been spoken into your spirit is meant to stay with you. It is meant to guide you. It is meant to remind you, especially in moments when doubt tries to return. You have already crossed a line. You have already stepped into a new position. You have already entered a flow that is working in your favor. And nothing about that is accidental. Archangel Michael is reminding you that this is a moment of confirmation, not confusion. A moment of clarity, not questioning. A moment where everything begins to make sense in a way it did not before. And now, as you stand in this awareness, there is one final truth that is about to bring everything together. A truth that will not just confirm what has happened, but will also bring you into a place of peace, rest, and assurance. Because what comes after understanding is peace. And that is exactly what is waiting for you now. Beloved soul, everything you have walked through, every moment of uncertainty, every silent tear, every quiet act of faith, it has all led you to this place. Not a place of struggle, not a place of confusion, but a place of peace. A peace that is not dependent on what is happening around you. A peace that does not rise and fall with circumstances. A peace that remains steady because it comes from something deeper than the world can offer. This is the peace that follows the battle. Archangel Michael is speaking clearly now. The battle you were fighting is no longer what it was. The weight you carried has already been lifted in ways you may not fully see yet. The resistance that once surrounded you has already been broken. And now, what remains is not chaos, it is calm. You may still be adjusting to this. You may still be looking around, wondering if things have truly changed. But listen carefully, the shift has already taken place. You are no longer standing in the storm. You are standing after it. And after every storm, there is stillness. After every battle, there is rest. After every trial, there is restoration. This is where you are now. Archangel Michael says you do not need to fight the same way anymore. You do not need to carry the same burden. You do not need to hold on to the same tension. Because what needed to be done has already been set into motion. What needed to be broken has already been dismantled. What needed to open has already been released above you. Now, your role is different. Now, your role is to receive, to breathe, to trust, to allow what has already been prepared to come into your life without resistance. This is not weakness. This is alignment. This is what happens when you move from striving into flow, when you move from pushing into trusting, when you move from fighting into resting in what has already been secured for you. And this rest is not empty. It is full of quiet confidence, full of inner strength, full of assurance that you are covered, guided, and protected in ways you no longer need to question. You may begin to notice this peace showing up in small ways. Moments where your mind is calm when it used to race. Situations where you feel steady when you once felt overwhelmed. A quiet sense that everything is going to be okay, even before you see the full outcome. This is the evidence. This is the sign. This is the result of everything that has already taken place in the unseen. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, not in battle, but in assurance. Not in conflict, but in confirmation. He is not just fighting for you anymore. He is watching over what has already been secured. And this is your reminder you are safe. You are covered. You are moving forward, not backward. Nothing that tried to stop you has succeeded. Nothing that tried to break you has remained. Because you stood in gratitude. Because you chose trust. Because you aligned with something higher. And now, you are stepping into the result of that alignment. So let go of the tension. Release the need to control every outcome. Allow yourself to rest in what has already been done. Because peace is not something you have to chase anymore, it is something you now carry. Type "I receive divine peace" in the comments if this message has reached your spirit. Blessing code 9912 is now flowing over your life. And as this peace settles over you, understand this sacred truth: what has opened over your life is not meant to stop with you. There are still souls searching, still hearts waiting, still lives needing the same light that found you. And in this very moment, you are being invited into something greater. Hear this as a living word spoken into your spirit. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. This is not distant scripture. This is God speaking directly into your now. And let this rise within you. I am ready to release my seed into this move of God. This is your moment to respond, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. The opportunity is already placed before you through super thanks, through the PayPal link in the description, and through the QR code visible in this space. Do not hesitate. Move as you are led. As you sow, may the peace you now carry multiply into abundance. May doors open beyond your expectation. And may divine favor follow you without interruption. Step forward now,